In the early 1900s, around 1910, there was a law that was basically stated as if you have one drop of black blood, you are considered to be black.
Hey guys, it's your girl Cindy and I'm back again today with another video. I trust you guys are having a beautiful time today. If you are new to this channel, hi, thank you so much for clicking to watch this video. So in today's video, we are going to see people's reactions talking about this news right here. I don't know if you have heard about this. I might be late to the party, but I have seen loads of videos on TikTok, people talking about this. So this right here says the U.S. Justice Department has lifted a decades-old school desegregation order in Louisiana, calling its continued existence a historical wrong. Please pause to read the rest. Guys, I have put together a few videos. Let's just hear what people are saying about this news. And of course, I'm going to show you some screenshots of comments. The fact that MAGAs in the comment section coming for these people that are reacting to this news, check the videos out.
All right, I'm just waking up, and yes, they are legally bringing segregation back. The Justice Department just dismantled a decades-old desegregation order in Louisiana, and now they're coming for the rest. It's not just activists that are raising the alarm. This image came from Bernice King, the daughter of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who knows exactly what's at stake. The order they ended was put in place in 1966 to keep school segregation in check, because even after Brown v. Board, schools across the South kept locking black students out of equal education. Now, nearly 60 years later, officials are calling these protections a historical wrong and saying it's time to wipe them away. And I already know some people will say, well, desegregation was never good for black people anyway, and there's truth to that. Desegregation often meant shutting down black schools, firing black teachers, and forcing black kids into racist, hostile environments with zero protection. And that wasn't liberation, that was assimilation under threat. But let's be clear, what's happening now isn't about fixing that harm. It's about removing accountability. It's about making it easier for schools to return to segregation without the courts watching. The answer to failed desegregation wasn't resegregation, it was reinvestment, community power, and equity. But what's happening now isn't about fixing the failures of the past. It's about removing the last legal tools communities had to stop segregation from coming back. Ending desegregation orders doesn't just allow inequality to grow quietly, it creates the legal conditions for public school districts to explicitly segregate again by race, religion, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, and more. It invites other school systems to follow Louisiana's lead. This isn't just a rollback, it's a blueprint. And without resistance, the future will look far too much like the past, only now it's been made legal. I'm Jared, a special education PhD candidate at Penn State, black and here to educate, and I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
I cannot keep up with all of the racist shit that this fucking regime is making happen. Just saw a video from Shirley Chisholm's folding chair. It's a wonderful video. I'm going to link it to this if she allows such things to happen. But take a look at this. The Justice Department just ended a desegregation order for Louisiana. Like, you want to know why Trump is trying to get rid of the Department of Education? It's so they can do shit like this! They want segregation. Are you fucking idiots who are saying that we don't want to vote for Harris because she's pro-genocide and pro-Israel? You fucking seen this shit! They want to take us back to segregation and Jim Crow. They want to take us back to where it was legal to do horrible atrocities to people who have a darker skin tone than me. But you're worried about what fucking Kamala Harris wanted to do. She wouldn't have done this! I need a nap.
I can't believe that in 2025, this is a story that I am reporting on. The U.S. Department of Justice has just ended a school desegregation order in Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, an order that has been in place since 1966. Basically, what the DOJ is saying is that because this school district integrated back in 1975, that this is a relic, an archaic rule that's no longer needed. Now, for your edification, there are 130 school districts throughout the South that are still under similar desegregation orders, and this one is just the first of all of those that they're planning on ending. Now, the concern that experts have is that by lifting these mandates, that it could roll back the progress that has been made on desegregation since the civil rights movement, and in fact lead to increased segregation, which is a completely separate video, but does actually still exist today. The bottom line is that by these laws being on the books, it doesn't hurt anybody, but by taking them off, it could. And that's where the concern comes in. Now, as always, you guys know that I love to know your thoughts and comments on these type of things, so please just be respectful as you go through them, but drop them in the comments because this is a pretty big issue.
I hadn't seen this news until you pointed it out, so thank you to this commenter for that. But the Department of Justice just ended a desegregation order that was handed out in 1966 to a Louisiana parish. That desegregation order, which was calling for those parishes to abide by the ruling of the Supreme Court. Mind you, the Supreme Court had ruled in 1954, 12 years earlier, that schools had to integrate with all deliberate speed. And yet, schools across the South either chose to ignore the Supreme Court or became private schools in order to not have to abide by the Supreme Court ruling. The Trump Justice Department called this and other orders that called for school districts to be integrated as a historic wrong, as if to say explicitly that the call to create equal spaces for Black students during the civil rights era was something that was wrongful against the white school districts. And then had the audacity to say that this is a way that we can focus on a brighter future together. These orders were still in place 60 years later because they had not been fully followed, as school districts across the South still had not taken the steps and strides that they were ordered to take in the 60s to ensure that Black and white students had equal access to a quality education. When people ask me why am I not sitting back and taking my rest, why have I continued to make videos talking about the things that are happening in the Trump administration, because I understand that while they are deporting people who look a certain way, they are legally rolling back every protection for people who look like me. If you don't think that Black folks are next, you're crazy. Literally every day, multiple times a day, a news story about the work of this administration comes across my phone. And it would be the biggest scandal of any other presidency. But for the Trump administration, it's Friday. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
It is decision day in America where all of our high school seniors let us know what colleges they're going to. And you're going to see, hopefully on your timeline, lots of little brown babies, little Black babies, letting you know what college they're going to, whether they're going into the military, whatever they're doing. Also today, we found out that there is a county in Louisiana that is suing to make sure that they can resegregate again. They want to basically overturn Brown v. Board of Education, something that Clarence Thomas has said that he believes should be done. And I want us all to start thinking about how are we going to make our schools, our public schools, better? Because really that private school, that charter school is better because it has smaller classes. Why does it have smaller classes? Because it has money. Why do they have better field trips? Because they have money. Why do they have better lab equipment? Because they have money. Why do they have better extracurriculars and everything? Because they have a stipend to pay the teachers because someone gave them more money. And now that the Brown v. Board of Education is probably up for grabs again, they could absolutely resegregate this country again in terms of schools. But you know what? Most of our schools are already segregated. So when they can no longer, or when parents are no longer able to buy their way into a private school or buy their way into a new county, then what? We've really got to start to make a conversation about school funding.
The Trump administration and the Department of Justice this week have lifted a desegregation ban in a school district in Louisiana. We have brought back segregation in school. This desegregation order was put into place in 1966, and just this week, the Department of Justice is like, you don't have to follow this anymore. You can have your schools segregated. If you think segregation in schools is good or are in favor of it, you're not even a Republican. You are so far right that you might as well jump off the freaking planet. We knew this was going to happen. They wanted it to happen. This is fucked.
The Trump DOJ just ended a decades-old desegregation order in Louisiana and called it righting a historical wrong. The historical wrong is not segregation or racism. It's the court case that tried to fix it. Back in 1966, the federal government sued a parish for refusing to desegregate its schools. And by 1975, only 11 years later, a judge said they were desegregated. But the case stayed open like many desegregation orders did across the South. This week, Trump's DOJ officially ended the case. And the Assistant Attorney General said, it's time to get America refocused on our bright future. In fact, they said that integration ended 2 generations ago. Except it did not. These desegregation orders, called consent decrees, were not random. They were created to force districts to integrate, especially because a lot of them were dragging their feet post Brown versus Board. I talked about this in this Substack a lot. But these orders do not go away until the district can prove it's eliminated the effects of segregation in practice, not on paper. And segregation, both racial and economical, are huge issues to this very day. Brown versus Board did not end it. And some schools are more segregated now than they were in the 60s. It's a disaster. The Trump DOJ isn't just ending one case. They're laying the groundwork to dismantle desegregation nationwide. The Louisiana AG has already requested more desegregation orders are dropped. She says, it's time to put the past in the past. But the past is right now, you guys. Districts that lose these orders often resegregate so fast, this rhetoric sends a very clear signal. The federal government is stepping away from its role as an equity enforcer in public education. We already knew this. It's been a mess.
In the early 1900s, around 1910, there was a law that was basically stated as, if you have 1 drop of black blood, you are considered to be black. Now, some people you'll hear them talk about, oh, it's 1/8 of your blood or 1/8 of a drop. But we don't have to get into the specifics. It's still holding people to a specific culture based on the complexion of their skin. Now, this was put in place heavily, deeply rooted in white supremacy because America understood, or those who came and took land from the people who were already here, they had in their mind that there was a way that they were going to be able to keep this land, and one way was to have laws in place that would put people in a place, and then also creating categories to divide cultures so that they can say specifically you're more this than that. You've probably heard me on other videos talking about how they did different censuses for Indians, asking them what percentage of Indian they were. And when you come to a place where people have lived in the wild, they don't even know what a percentage is. So the information that you're taking is not valid. Yet you move as though you know what you're talking about because you feel like you're more educated. And they are giving you information based on what they know. Now, it doesn't mean that they were not educated in their own way. They just were not educated in the ways of the trickery that was before them. So we all know the story of like Christopher Columbus and the Pilgrims and different things like that. But what we fail to realize is that, and this is something that can make my blood boil, which is why I understand that when my grandmother told me that I heard my mom's side of the family was Choctaw, and my biological dad told me that our family Indian side was Seminole Indian, I understood more this blood boiling war that sometimes bubbles up within me when I go on someone's post and someone is trying to correct them based on what they're celebrating, or people are still trying to create even more of a divide because they're like, well, you don't look like this, or you don't talk like that, or you haven't studied this. I got a question for you. What the hell they gonna study? All the information that we have is not correct information. It is what we were taught so that we would not know the truth. I've said many times before, in order to suppress or oppress a people, you have to know their correct information in order to feed them incorrect information. So, I have a suggestion for everyone. Instead of trying to figure out what tribe you're from and trying to appeal to a country that is not going to allow you to appeal to them because the process is woven so tightly in distrust and dishonesty, why are we not just unweaving the lineage of our ancestors, calling them forward, and moving as a community that is deeply rooted in a culture that we create, one that shows that we are so mixed, we gumbo. We literally are so mixed. In Louisiana, you can have Indian, Spanish, Irish, French. It was a port. German. I have all that in my blood. So nobody's pure anything on this land. Nobody. Unless you stayed in an area where you were able to maintain the integrity of your indigenous culture. Nobody. Unless you came from a country and never married outside of your culture, nobody is pure anything. Nobody. So stop trying to fit into categories that once were. Call forward the spirit that is in you, that is held into your lineage. Do the work, free them, and then stand in it. In a community of people, not based on, oh, you know what, your skin is a little too brown. Where are you from? Who the fuck cares? How is that going to free anything when we are doing the exact same thing that was done to us in the first place? Wake the fuck up. Stop playing with your ancestors. They didn't know nothing about that. You know what they did know? They understood that they had something that they stood for, that they was willing to die for. And because of the confusion that has been caused, people don't know what to stand for, and they damn sure ain't dying for something that they cannot identify. So define it and stop playing. These laws were not made for people who were not welcome here. The American dream was not for anybody other than who it was written for. Not indigenous people, not people from other cultures. They were not created for people who were migrants. It was created for the people who were already here to establish the lie that was told, the lie that was upheld for years by laws and delegations and sections and paperwork and things that are being upheld now that are so old that they don't even make sense anymore. Laws that we can't even get someone to lobby against because they don't make sense to us because we haven't been taught the secret language or lingo. But as a community, we can summon the spirits to assist us to bring forward what we need, who we need, and how we need them to stand for us. And who is us? We're the mixed culture, the displaced, the ones who know things about our lineage, but because there have been other cultures mixed in with it, or we have been oppressed or suppressed by other cultures, or our different practices and Understandings have been rebranded. And so some of that stuff feels like it has been lost. There is nothing that is ever lost. Everything that exists always exists. It never goes away. If it is not here in physical form, it is here in energy and spirit. So stop playing. And stop commenting on people's stuff, trying to make them feel like they don't know what they're talking about. They know what they know, and what they have to go on most of the time is just the limited information that they have. Tap the fuck in. Maybe you the person that can give them more insight instead of telling them, oh, why are you practicing that? That's not even from your culture. At least they're practicing something. Because I remember hearing in a movie or somewhere, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And I think that is a very fitting statement for this. Because if we're not standing for something, even if it's just organizing our own community, creating our own names that have meaning, understanding that there are cultural practices that summons our ancestors to bring them forward to assist us through all that we need in this moment and throughout the time before us, to establish the lineages before us and behind us, we can call that forward. We can call it forward. We just have to make the call. But most of the time, if the call is not entertaining or it doesn't have music, sometimes people don't answer because they need it to, be jazzy. I don't need anybody to tell me who I am. I know who I am. I know what I'm willing to stand for. I know what I'm willing to fight for. And it's not something that is specific by name. It's a spirit. And I'm okay with that.
Okay, I just have few things to say. Okay, we can clearly see that they are no longer hiding this. They are literally open with it. Lately, I've been seeing comments from white people being so racist in the comment section towards Black people. Like, I have seen loads of these comments. Seriously, guys, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. Anyways, you guys, I thought to bring these videos here. Let me know what you all think in the comment section and let us know if you have heard about this news before now. And let me know what you all think in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video, share, comment, and of course, come back for another one. I'm gonna see y'all in my next video. Y'all have a lovely day. Bye.